In an ever-evolving landscape of health concerns, staying informed and taking proactive measures is essential. Today on City Chat, Health Commissioner Dr. Mysheika Roberts is here with us today to inform us about updated COVID vaccines and flu shots, and what we can do to best safeguard against COVID and the flu this year. Dr. Roberts, thank you for joining us today on City Chat.
Thanks for having me.
So here we are post-pandemic, and we are getting recent news about getting an updated COVID vaccine. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why people need to get an updated vaccine?
Sure. So you said it. We are post-pandemic, but we are not post-COVID-19. COVID-19 is going to be along with us for a long time. So we need to get used to it, just like we get used to the annual flu shot. So we have an updated COVID-19 vaccine that everyone 6 months of age and older should get. Whether or not they had the first series or had previous shots of COVID-19, they should get this vaccine, and I encourage them to get it sooner rather than later.
So for people that did not get the COVID vaccine at all, let's say, they would be okay just getting this one updated COVID
Absolutely.
vaccine?
So the theory is that now that we are 3 years into COVID-19, 3+ years, that almost everyone, a large percentage, 90% or greater of the population has either had COVID or been exposed to COVID or been vaccinated with COVID. And so now with that information, this new vaccine can be given to anyone who wants to protect themselves from getting COVID-19 in the future, or at least wants to have a much milder case of COVID-19 in the future.
And when it comes to the flu, we're seeing these viruses kind of evolve and everything. And then I'll get back to that question, but why is it important to get a flu shot?
Well, we recommend a flu shot every year. The strain of flu that circulates in our communities varies from year to year. And so that's why it's important that even if you got vaccinated against the flu in previous years, you should get the updated flu vaccine this year. Again, everyone 6 months of age and older should get that flu. And the flu vaccine is very effective at reducing mortality and morbidity from the flu. So it doesn't guarantee that you won't get the flu, but it definitely decreases your chances of dying from complications of the flu and or being hospitalized or very sick with the flu. So again, I encourage everyone to get the flu vaccine this year, even if they haven't done it in years past.
It's kind of interesting that when before COVID existed, the flu shot was just something that no one really thought about, and it's just oh yeah, we have to get your shot. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but it wasn't a big debate or divide or anything. But COVID, it seems like when you were talking about this updated COVID vaccine, and then you're talking now about how flu shots are updated yearly, which I honestly didn't know. It's what is the similarities of COVID and flu, and is flu worse than COVID, or are they the same type of evolution?
So the similarities to the viruses, they're different viruses, obviously, but in terms of how they are transmitted from one person to another, and some of the symptoms can be very similar. The fact that we're expected now to get an annual flu shot as well as an annual COVID-19 vaccine, that should reassure people that this virus is something that our community, our world, knows how to control with a vaccine. And we're so fortunate that we got a vaccine as quickly as we did. Yeah. And so I think obviously there's a difference with how people thought of COVID versus the flu. Some of that just had to do with the fact that this was a brand new virus that none of us had any immunity to. Keep in mind, flu's been around since the early 1900s. Okay. COVID-19 has not. So we are accustomed to the flu. We're not accustomed to the COVID-19, but we need to see them as one almost. Just like you get protected against the flu every year, you should get protected against COVID-19. When you have the flu, you stay home. When you have COVID-19, you stay home.
And when we get our updated COVID and flu vaccines, can we get them at the same time, or do they need to be
Absolutely. So when I got both of mine, and I got them at the same time. I chose to get them in 2 different arms. I know people who've gotten them at the same time and got them in the same arm. So it's really up to you how you want to proceed, but you absolutely can get them at the same time. It's safe and they'll still be effective.
Okay. And then when would you say is the best time to get vaccines? I know that I was personally waiting until to get my updated vaccine for my toddler to get his updated vaccine? Because I think that the vaccines came out like just recently, right?
Yeah, the new COVID-19 vaccine has been out for less than 2 months.
Okay.
I would suggest people get it soon. The ideal time to get it is not right before the holidays, but before you gather for the holidays. And that holiday can be Thanksgiving, it could be even Halloween. There's some theories that you should get flu before boo. So you should get your flu shot before you go trick-or-treating. It does take about 2 weeks to mount the immune response of protection from both flu and the COVID-19 vaccine. So the sooner you get it, the sooner you're going to get that protection. But I definitely would encourage people to try to get vaccinated before they start traveling and gathering, particularly before the Thanksgiving holiday.
Okay, that's good to know.
But I would also say it's never too late to get it. So if you don't get it before Thanksgiving and you wait till January to get it for whatever reason, that's fine too, because we know flu season can be prolonged and sometimes lasts until April. And really, COVID-19 is seasonal. It's all year round. There's not one season for it.
There's this perception, like among my friends and people that I've talked to, that the COVID strain this time around is not as bad. And so I guess it's so awesome to have you here to kind of like debunk that, or to let us know that, yeah, it's not going to be as bad, you know, or why we really do need these updated vaccines.
Well, you absolutely need the updated vaccine. There's no doubt about that. And I would say that it's not as bad, but it depends on who you're talking to. So if you're talking to someone who's never had COVID-19 and they get this new strain, it could be really bad for them. If you talk to someone who has some underlying immune conditions and they get this new strain, it can be really bad for them. People are still dying in the United States, here in Ohio, from COVID-19. So this is not a virus to play with. It can act differently and make people feel differently depending on what their underlying health conditions are, and depending on their age. So I would encourage people to not take this virus lightly. It is something serious, and to protect themselves by getting vaccinated.
Definitely. In addition to the vaccines, what else can we do to prevent flu and COVID?
Well, first of all, washing your hands. I know we've been saying that all the time. For many years, we've been saying wash your hands, but wash your hands before you eat and drink. Try to avoid touching your nose, your mouth with your hands. If you don't have soap and water to wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. Make sure when you're out in public, or even when you're in your own home, that you cover your cough and sneezes. So, you know, sneeze into the elbow of your arm, cough into the elbow of your arm. And then when you're not feeling 100%, stay home. I know a lot of people who say, oh, I had a headache. I've never had a headache before, and I went to work, and then the next day they felt like a train hit them, and sure enough, they had COVID or they had the flu. So really watch your body for those unusual symptoms, because that could be the first indication that you're not feeling well and that you have something that could be transmitted to other people. So staying home when you're sick is very important. We have test kits available for COVID-19. Unfortunately, we can't test for flu at home yet. I anticipate that will be coming here in the future, but make sure you arm your house with test kits so that you can test yourselves if you are feeling sick, so that you can, again, remove yourself from others who you could expose.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts, so much for joining us today, and all this information. So helpful.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm Josie Smith. Thanks for watching City Chat on CTV.